Want shoulders that scream power? This press turns wimps into warriors, gorilla style. Welcome back to the Pump Room Podcast, where we forge muscle, strength, and unbreakable mindset. I'm Dr. Aris Thorne, your guide to turning iron into gains. If you caught our last episode on gorilla arm raises, you know we're building those primal, dominant shoulders that command respect. Today, we're unleashing the overhead press onslaught, the move that catapults your delts from average to alpha. Stick around because we're diving deep into stances that stabilize like a fortress, mechanics that maximize every rep, and accessories that amplify your power. We'll cover anatomy in detail, benefits backed by science, common pitfalls and how to crush them, variations for every level, injury prevention strategies, programming blueprints for long-term success, nutrition hacks to fuel your gains, mindset mastery to push through plateaus, and even some real-world case studies from my clients. By the end, you'll have the complete blueprint to sculpt shoulders that turn heads, crush limits, and make you feel like an unstoppable force. This episode is packed with value to solve your biggest shoulder struggles, from lack of size to nagging pains. So hit that subscribe button now, grab your notebook, and let's get pumped. All right, lifters, let's talk real talk. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like your shoulders are holding you back? That nagging insecurity where your delts just don't pop, making you feel less confident in a tank top, during a heavy lift, or even just walking into a room? I get it. I've been there early in my training days, staring at my reflection thinking, why do my shoulders look like they belong on a scarecrow? But here's the empowerment shift. The overhead press isn't just an exercise, it's your ticket to gorilla-like displays of strength. We're building not just muscle, but that deep-seated confidence that comes from knowing you're unbreakable. Today, we're going to strategically break this down from the ground up, starting with the basics and layering in advanced tactics so you can solve those shoulder plateaus, prevent injuries, and transform your physique step by step. This isn't fluff, it's actionable, science-backed value that addresses massive problems like uneven development, stalled progress, and that frustrating feeling of being stuck in your training. Let's humanize this right from the start. I'm not some untouchable expert. I'm a guy who started lifting in a garage with rusty weights, made every mistake in the book, and came out the other side with shoulders that demand respect. You can too. Let's dive in. First off, before we even touch the bar, let's set the stage with a bit of history to humanize and contextualize why the overhead press is such a powerhouse. This lift dates back to the ancient Greeks, where athletes pressed stones overhead in the Olympics, and evolved through strongmen like Eugen Sandow in the 1800s, who hoisted massive barbells to wow crowds. In modern times, it's a staple in powerlifting, CrossFit, and bodybuilding. Think Arnold Schwarzenegger pressing dumbbells like they were feathers, or strongman competitors like Thor Bjornsson dominating with logs. Why does this matter? Because understanding its roots shows it's not a fad. It's a proven, primal movement that solves real-world problems like building functional strength for sports, jobs, or just life. If you're a desk worker with rounded shoulders from hours on a computer, this press counters that by pulling you upright, improving posture, and boosting your presence. That's massive value, transforming from slouched and insecure to tall and commanding. Emotionally, it's a wave, from the low of feeling weak to the high of historical connection, making you part of a legacy of strength. Now, strategically ordering our content to build a strong foundation, let's start with stance, the unsung hero that can make or break your press. Think of it as the root system for your power tree. Without it, everything topples. A wide, stable base is key, feet shoulder-width apart, toes slightly out at about 15 to 30 degrees for that gorilla grip on the ground. Why this angle? It allows better torque through the hips, engaging your glutes and quads to create a kinetic chain of power from floor to bar. If your toes are straight ahead, you might lose balance forward. Too flared and knees cave in. Narrow stance? Forget it. You'll wobble like a newbie on ice, leaking precious power and inviting injury. Pro tip: imagine screwing your feet into the floor, twisting outward without moving. This advanced psychology trick, rooted in external cueing, taps into your brain's motor control centers, making you feel grounded and invincible. Science backs it up. Biomechanics studies from the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research show a proper stance increases force production by up to 20%, reducing compensatory movements that rob your delts of work and strain your lower back. But let's go deeper for those solving specific problems. If you're dealing with balance issues from past ankle injuries, or you're a beginner feeling overwhelmed, start with a staggered stance, one foot slightly forward for extra support, like a kickstand on a bike. Progress to even feet as confidence builds. This tweak alone has helped my clients avoid frustration and dropout, keeping them engaged in training long-term. Humanizing moment. I once coached a guy named Mike, a 40-year-old office worker with bad knees from old sports injuries. He hated presses because he felt unstable, until we dialed in his stance. Within weeks, he was pressing body weight overhead. And the confidence boost? He started wearing sleeveless shirts to work. That's the emotional wave, from shaky insecurity to stable empowerment. Here's a killer demo of proper stance and form. Feet planted, knees soft, glutes squeezed. See how the body forms a straight line from ankles to head? That's your base. Now, to ramp up the value loop, remember a solid stance isn't isolated to this lift. It transfers to squats, deadlifts, even yoga or daily tasks like picking up kids. Research from sports science labs confirms full body engagement in standing presses enhances core stability, slashing lower back injury risk by 30% in lifters, a massive solve for the epidemic of desk job pains plaguing our audience. If your core is your weak link, holding you back from heavy lifts, this is your entry point fix. Let's add practical layers. Experiment in front of a mirror or film yourself. Note how stance affects your bar path. Journal it. Week 1, stance at 20 degrees, felt solid. Over time, these small adjustments compound into big gains, keeping you hooked with progress. Tension building here. Imagine skipping this step. Wobbly sets, stalled weights, growing frustration. But nail it and energy surges upward, setting the stage for mechanics. Transitioning to keep the narrative flowing and pacing energetic, let's ramp up the tension with press mechanics, the heart of the onslaught where power meets precision. Grip the bar just outside shoulder width, thumbs wrapped around, not suicide grip, to create a shelf on your delts. Elbows flared at 45 degrees from your body. Too wide, 90 degrees, and you'll torch your rotator cuff like overcooking a steak. Unrack the bar by stepping under it, eyes forward, then brace your core like you're about to take a gut punch from Mike Tyson. Suck in air, push out against your belt if you have one. From there, drive the bar skyward in a slight J-curve path, forward at the bottom, straight up at the top, to align with your center of gravity. Lock out at the top with a subtle shrug, but don't hyperextend your elbows or lean back excessively. That's where the magic of full recruitment happens, without joint destruction. Here's a value loop punch. Muscle activation science from EMG studies reveals the overhead press fires your anterior deltoids at up to 74% of max voluntary contraction. That's double what you get from front raises or push-ups alone. Medial delts hit 60%, building that coveted rounded 3D cap, while posterior delts and traps stabilize for balance. Feel that deep burn midway through? That's your delts hypertrophying, screaming for growth under progressive overload. In my early lifting days, I gripped too wide, chasing ego lifts, and ended up with shoulder impingement that sidelined me for months. Painful lesson. Now I tailor grip to anatomically. Taller lifters with longer arms might widen slightly for comfort. Shorter ones narrow to avoid strain. Common pitfalls? Arching your back like a banana to cheat the weight up. It shifts load to your lower back, risking herniations. Fix? Slight forward lean of 5 to 10 degrees to engage posterior delts and keep the bar over mid-foot.
More science? EMG data from the American Journal of Sports Medicine shows controlled overhead variations amp medial and posterior delt activation by 25%, sculpting boulders instead of flat caps. Emotional wave intensifying. That stall midway through a rep? It's your brain's fear response, amygdala firing, danger. But visualize the bar as an enemy to conquer, like a gorilla pounding its chest. I used this on my first 225-pound press in a crowded gym, heart racing, muscles quivering, but I exploded through. It wasn't just physical, it rewired my mindset from doubt to dominance. Share your stall stories in comments. Let's build community.
To solve the why won't my shoulders grow puzzle that's massive for our audience, let's dive deep into anatomy with useful meaning. Your glenohumeral joint is a ball and socket marvel, allowing 360-degree motion but vulnerable without support. Prime movers, anterior delts flex and abduct the arm upward. Medial delts add width through abduction. Posterior delts extend and externally rotate for stability. Underneath, the rotator cuff quartet, supraspinatus initiates abduction. Infraspinatus and teres minor externally rotate. Subscapularis internally rotates, acts as dynamic stabilizers. Triceps brachii extend elbows. Upper traps elevate scapula at lockout, and your core, obliques, abs, erectors prevent sway. Even lats and rhomboids retract scapula for a solid base. Check this detailed anatomy breakdown. See the delts firing in sequence? Neglecting any head leads to imbalances. Overdeveloped anterior from too much bench, weak posterior causing rounded posture. This knowledge empowers targeted training. If your side delts lag, emphasize medial work. If posture sucks, hit posteriors hard. Advanced psych. Use mind-muscle connection. Focus on squeezing the target muscle during reps to boost activation by 15 to 20% per neuro studies. This solves uneven growth, a top complaint I hear, turning frustration into balanced aesthetic shoulders. This press delivers massive value beyond aesthetics. It builds raw compound strength in shoulders, triceps, traps, and upper back, forging a yoke that supports heavier benches and pulls. Core stability skyrockets as you're pressing overhead while standing. Think anti-rotation forces that bulletproof your midsection. Injury prevention? Huge. It strengthens rotator cuff in functional planes, reducing shoulder issues by 40% in athletes per orthopedic research. Functional carryover? Better at overhead sports like volleyball or everyday tasks like shelving boxes without strain. Hormonally, compound lifts like this spike testosterone and growth hormone, accelerating overall muscle gains. Studies from the European Journal of Applied Physiology confirm regular overhead pressers see delt hypertrophy of 10 to 15% in 8 weeks, with anterior and medial heads exploding for that V-taper. Mentally, it builds resilience. Pushing heavy weight overhead demands focus, teaching you to embrace discomfort. If you're chasing confidence, athleticism, or just pain-free living, this is your unique proposition. A single lift solving multiple problems, from physique gaps to mindset blocks. Humanize. A client, Sarah, a competitive swimmer, had weak shoulders limiting her strokes. After 12 weeks of pressing, her times dropped, pain vanished, and she felt empowered in and out of the pool. Emotional high, from limitation to liberation. Pacing up the energy to maintain tension, let's supercharge with accessory moves, strategically ordered after the main compound to exploit fatigue for growth. First, the Z press, or seated pen press. Sit on the floor or box with no back support, legs extended. This kills lower body momentum, forcing pure shoulder and tricep power. Start light, 3 sets of 8 to 12, to expose and build weak links in your pressing chain. Science, it increases delt isolation by 30% per training studies. Next, lateral raises for medial delt focus, but with a twist. Use bottom-up kettlebells, hold by the horn, bell up, for added instability, recruiting serratus anterior and stabilizing muscles. Slow the eccentric, 3 to 5 seconds down for time under tension, proven to boost hypertrophy hormones.
Then, rear delt flies or face pulls to counter anterior dominance and build gorilla posture. Use cables for constant tension, squeezing at the peak for 2 seconds. Sequence: post-main press, 3 to 4 sets each, dropping weight as fatigue hits for max growth stimulus. Variations abound. Arnold press for rotation. Start palms facing you, rotate to forward at top, hitting all delt heads dynamically. Or Viking press with handles for neutral grip, easier on wrists. See these step-by-step illustrations? Let's detail a full accessory circuit. Z press 3 times 10, laterals 3 times 12 to 15, rear flies 3 times 15, face pulls 3 times 20. Rest 60 to 90 seconds between. This ordering heavy compound to lighter isolations optimizes recovery, solves "my delts don't respond" by targeting fibers exhaustively. Remember my client Tom, a firefighter needing overhead strength for gear? Accessories turned his presses from struggle to staple. He credits them for saving energy on the job. The boredom of isolations, low, to the pump of completion, high, keeping viewers engaged. Use intrinsic loading. Focus on feeling the muscle work, not just moving weight, to enhance neural drive and retention. Tension building toward the peak. These aren't optional. Skip them and your shoulders stay imbalanced, progress halts, but integrate and watch the transformation. Now, tension peaks with your max rep challenge, the payoff moment where theory meets grit. Warm up progressively. Empty bar 2 times 10, then add weight in 20 to 40 pound jumps for 5 to 8 reps until working load. Load 70% of your 1 RM or a weight you can press 8 to 12 times fresh and rep it out to technical failure. Form breaks? Stop. Feel the shake in rep 8? That's your central nervous system adapting, recruiting more motor units for strength gains. Push safely, have a spotter or use safeties, and log it. Week 1, 135 pounds times 12. Next session, beat it by 1 rep or 5 pounds. Emotional high. That post-set pump floods dopamine, creating a habit loop for lifelong training. If you fail early, analyze. Was stance off? Grip wrong? Use it as data, not defeat. Advanced psych. Pre-rep visualization. See yourself crushing 20 reps, primes your brain for success, boosting performance by 10% per sports psych research. This challenge solves stagnation, turning "I can't progress" into "I conquered" with built-in proof via tracking. To pace down for reflection, then rebuild, let's address injury prevention, essential for long-term congruence. Shoulders are delicate. Prevent blowouts with dynamic warm-ups. Arm circles 2 times 20 each way, band pull-aparts 3 times 15 for scap stability, external rotations 3 times 12 to wake the cuff. Avoid pitfalls like ego lifting, too heavy too soon, poor mobility, test with wall slides, or neglecting recovery. If pain flares, sharp versus dull ache, regress to neutral grip dumbbells or landmine press, which arcs safer for impingement-prone folks. Nutrition tie-in, omega-3s from fish oil reduce inflammation, collagen supplements support tendons, aim 2 grams EPA-DHA daily, 15 grams collagen. Sleep 7 to 9 hours, foam roll delts post-workout. I've dodged major injuries by prioritizing this. One tweak saved a client's career. This solves overuse epidemics, keeping you training consistently without downtime lows. Programming blueprint for sustained solves. Integrate presses 2 to 3 times a week, spaced 48 to 72 hours for recovery. Novices, starting strength style, 3 times 5 linear progression. Add 5 pounds per session until stall, deload 10% and repeat. Intermediates, wave loading. Week 1, 5 times 5 at 75%. Week 2, 4 times 6 at 80%. Week 3, 3 times 8 at 70%, then peak with singles. Advanced, conjugate. Monday, strict press. Thursday, push press for power. Accessories varied. Full sample routine, warm-up, overhead press 4 times 6 to 8, Z press 3 times 10, laterals and rears 3 times 12 to 15, finish with cuff work. Pair with pulls, rows 2-to-1 ratio for balance. Progress, microload with 1 to 2.5 pound plates, cycle rep ranges every 4 weeks, strength 3 to 5, hypertrophy 8 to 12. If plateaued, deload, assess nutrition, protein 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram body weight, or add drop sets. Humanize. My program evolved over years, from novice stalls to advanced PRs. Tailor to your life. Busy? Home dumbbell version. This comprehensive plan solves how do I structure this confusion, delivering high retention through applicable value. Compare to other lifts, overhead versus bench. This builds vertical power, bench horizontal. Do both for full upper body. Myths debunked? Presses wreck shoulders. No, poor form does. Women shouldn't press heavy. Nonsense. It builds strong, toned delts without bulk if calories controlled. Celebrity inspo? Dwayne Johnson's presses for movie roles, or Serena Williams for tennis dominance. Q&A sim? What if no barbell? Use dumbbells seated for starters. Plateau help? Up volume 20%. This engages by anticipating questions, building connection. Recap value every 10 to 15 minutes. Remember, this stance fix alone could add 20 pounds to your press. Tension release. Light humor. Don't be the guy arching like he's dodging a bullet. Stay tight. Track visual progress. Before photo, side, front, rear. Note flat delts. Weekly measures, shoulder circumference, press weight. After 8 to 12 weeks, gorilla mode. Broader, capped, and powerful. Here's inspiration. Client transformations, pro athletes' shoulders. Use apps for logging. Reward milestones with new gear. This visual proof reinforces investment, making you crave the next episode.
Whew, what a marathon session. You've now got the ultimate toolkit to unleash shoulder strength that turns heads, solves your biggest lifting problems, and forges an unbreakable mindset. If this episode pumped you up and delivered massive value, smash that like button. Subscribe for more Pump Room power. We're dropping weekly episodes on hypertrophy hacks, mindset mastery, and more. Drop a comment below. What's your favorite exercise so far in this series? Overhead press or gorilla arm raises? Or share your biggest shoulder struggle. Your input shapes future content and builds our iron family. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a gain. Share this with a lifting buddy who's stuck on shoulders. Let's spread the strength. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay hungry, and keep pressing toward greatness. Dr. Aris Thorne, out.